Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. Look, in our last explainer, we talked about the principles of integration testing, right? We got the theory down, but today we are turning those concepts into a literal physical engineering blueprint for your capstone ecosystem integrated Solana dApp. We're talking all about writing reliable integration tests. Honestly, our entire goal today is just to make sure you never have to use that dreaded, well, it worked on my machine excuse ever again. We're going to build tests that are robust, totally repeatable, and absolutely bulletproof.
So here's our schematic for today. We're going to construct an infallible machine to handle these really complex asynchronous Solana protocols with all the flaky chaos. We'll quickly hit the 4 pillars of testing, trace a real-world cross-protocol flow, figure out how to tame asynchronous confirmations, weigh mocks versus live integrations, and finally, get this whole blueprint ready for automation. All right, let's jump straight into section 1. The absolute non-negotiable foundations of literally any integration test you will ever write on Solana. Think of this as pouring the concrete before you start stacking bricks. Every reliable test is basically a contract with 4 strict clauses: set up, exercise, verify, and tear down. You got to make every single one of these explicit. If you skip one, or kind of just blur the lines between them because you're in a rush, your testing environment is going to crumble like a house of cards. You set up your state, you exercise the transaction, you verify the exact outcomes, and then, this is huge, you tear down the environment so your next test starts with a completely clean slate.
And if we actually map these mandatory steps directly to the Solana tools you'll be using, it looks exactly like this. During setup, you're leaning heavily on the Solana test validator and spinning up key pairs from fixed seeds. When it's time to exercise the flow, you submit instructions with send and confirm transaction. Then to verify, you don't just blindly trust that it worked. You actively fetch the on-chain data using getAccountInfo. Finally, in teardown, you're closing accounts or just resetting the validator entirely. This right here, this is your toolkit for absolute predictability.
Moving right along to section 2, real-world cross-protocol flow. Because, let's be real, testing a single program in isolation is pretty easy. But Web3? Web3 is all about composability.
Picture this. You need to verify a user swapping tokens on a DEX and then immediately taking those shiny new tokens and using them as collateral in a lending protocol. If that sounds like a total debugging nightmare, well, yeah, it usually is. So how do we test that without false positives? How do you prove those side effects actually fired off in the correct order?
You have to trace the flow chronologically. Point 1, you set up the environment, minting initial liquidity, and the user's starting balances deterministically. Point 2, you exercise that DEX swap, and you wait for the final confirmation. Point 3, you exercise the lending deposit. And then finally, at point 4, only after all of that is done, you verify the lending collateral ratio. It's a highly choreographed dance, and you've got to be a very strict director.
The real make-or-break moment is how you handle that verification step. You cannot just guess, and please, don't just write a single massive state equals expected check. You've got to explicitly check exact numeric balances. You must verify structural data, like making sure the owner and the program-derived address seeds are perfect. And you definitely need to verify the expected program logs to ensure specific events like a collateral deposited marker were actually spit out by the program.
Okay, section 3. This is a fun one. Taming asynchronous confirmations. We have to engineer our way around the mechanics that love to break our tests, namely Solana's blazing fast but highly asynchronous transaction lifecycle.
Before we even think about firing off a transaction, we need deterministic fixtures. All this means is using fixed seeds and totally predictable initial balances. Why? So you and your team aren't comparing apples to randomly generated oranges. If your public keys and account addresses mutate every single time you run a test, tracking down a failure is going to be literally impossible. Predictability is your best friend.
Once your fixtures are locked in, you have to deal with time. Enter commitment levels. If you try to read an account before it's finalized by the network, you are going to be staring at red error logs from a transient intermediate state. You'll probably think your transaction failed, but in reality, you just asked for the receipt before the cashier even opened the register.
So to actually engineer around this RPC lag, you absolutely must explicitly wait for that finalization using confirmed transaction. But don't stop there. Requery those on-chain accounts explicitly, never just rely on local simulated results. And if the network is being a bit stubborn, just implement an exponential backoff. Throw in some short sleep loops, but cap your retries at 3 to 5 times. Doing this makes your tests unbelievably resilient to those random temporary network hiccups.
Section 4. Mocks versus live integrations. As you get deeper into the Forge College Applied Protocol courses and start tackling wilder architectures, you're going to have to decide just how realistic your test environments actually need to be.
Because there is a massive trade-off here between speed and fidelity. Mocks are amazing for forcing edge cases incredibly fast, like simulating a flash crash on a price oracle. But using real program binaries for live integrations is pretty much mandatory if you want to see how protocols actually collide in the wild. The secret is a matrix approach. Use mocks for your fast, everyday checks, but always keep a suite of high-fidelity live integrations so you know things will actually survive deployment. But hey, whichever route you choose, your teardown has to be completely idempotent, meaning if a test blows up halfway through, the very next run should cleanly sweep up the mess or pave right over it deterministically. Honestly, restoring from a test validator snapshot is a brilliant, totally underrated way to reset the stage after a heavy live integration without having to rebuild the entire universe from scratch.
And finally, Section 5, Preparing for Automation. We've got our stable, predictable blueprint. Now we need to prep it for the automated assembly line of continuous integration, or CI. Running tests locally on your laptop is great and all, but having a robot rigorously check your work on every single code commit, that is true engineering bliss.
If you only remember one golden rule from this entire explainer, let it be this: make every single assertion explainable. When a test suddenly fails at 2 a.m. on a Sunday inside a CI pipeline, and you get a super helpful generic message like, "Assertion error, false is not true," you are going to want to throw your laptop out the window. Your future self deserves better than that.
When your test eventually fails in CI, and trust me, it will, surfacing these specific artifacts in your failure message will instantly point you to the broken gear in your machine. Record your transaction logs, capture the exact slot number and block hash, log the RPC endpoint you were pinging, and explicitly surface the actual versus the expected values. This takes a super frustrating failure and turns it into a highly actionable diagnostic report.
So by enforcing strict structures, using deterministic fixtures, and treating Solana's asynchronous quirks with respect, you now have the blueprint for unwavering reliability. In our next lesson, automating integration tests, we're going to take these very test suites and configure the CI pipelines to run them on autopilot. For now, I highly recommend you head over to forge.college to master even more Web3 engineering blueprints and check out our other applied protocol courses. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. If your test suites are a direct reflection of your protocol's resilience, what actually happens when $1 billion flows through your code while you're fast asleep? Think about it. Have fun building, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.